All right, so I got a little side one from St. Arnold. It's been around for a while. They've been around for a long time. The guy started in college. Seems like he still works around the property. He still tastes the beers and makes sure you get quality beer. My main coverage on this, I'm gonna cover 2 beers, but I'm only drinking one because you don't really need me to show you both. You'll know immediately if you want it or not. So this is a refreshing outdoor beer called Lawnmower. I forgot what it was. I think it's a blonde. And so anyways, they have another one called Weedwacker. So this is, they're both the same recipe. It's just the other one has a different yeast. And so I think that one's a Hefeweizen yeast. So you don't have to use the yeast for specific beers, but it shows how important it is when you choose your yeast because it affects the flavor of your beer very drastically. So you can have these side by side and you can swear that they're completely 2 different beers. Technically they are because of the yeast, but the fact that the yeast, the one ingredient, even though everything else is the same, changes that whole perspective. Everything just changes the aroma, the flavor. It can lighten the body, it can keep the body heavy. Those are, depending on different strains. Each yeast was kept for a certain reason and eventually became the main pillars for the beers. But you can still play with them, you can still tweak them. That's why sour beers are very unique, because you're still technically making sporadic beer. Especially when you do go out and you collect random things and you grow the yeast, that's going to be the one you use, and you're still trying to find out what's going to make of it. Once you got the yeast for a while, you got most of the characteristics are going to be consistent. And so just as a side note, I just want everybody to know that that's an important thing to look at and learn, because most people don't learn about the yeast and they don't think it's very significant. But for beer, it's very, very drastic, and for spirits too, because it does affect it. And spirits is different because they have to handle a higher percentage of alcohol before it gets turned into liquor. So they have to be able to produce a lot, and if it starts killing them off too early, you're always going to end up with a lower amount. And you want certain peaks in your alcohol before it gets bottled and blended and all that stuff. And then sometimes you just go for flavor and then it doesn't matter. So those are just things that taken care of. So that's a lot of ranting on that. Lawnmower is delicious, and the Weedwacker is too. They are definitely close in color. I think the other one was a little bit darker. I think it's hard to tell, but I know the bodies were very similar, and it's just a flavor profile that Hefeweizen yeast, I don't know what it did for me. It just blew my mind. So this one, it's a little bit more pilsnery, more like a lager. It probably is a lager. So big distinction, obviously I already said it, a lot of people know this. Your lagers are always gonna have usually bottom fermenting yeast, and it's gonna be cold. So there's the main factors. Pilsners, box lagers, all that stuff like that, and they're all pretty much lagers. So it is a big issue to say, is this a lager or an ale? As long as you can distinguish that, you're fine, because lager ale already puts you in a whole different category. Ales are obviously gonna be darker. They're warmer temperatures. They're treated different. It just comes out darker. Lagers usually are lighter, but you can age them. You can make them dark too, but they won't look like ambers and stuff. So it's like straw. Honestly, reminds me of sunshine, like being outside. Almost flowery. Just crisp, malty, and just good. So there you go. St. Arnold Lawnmower. It's one of their flagship, staple. Every time you can have it, any time of day beer. And then we got Weedwacker comes in. I don't know if it's rotated in or if they stopped it, but I haven't seen it in a little while. But it's just as good. It's gonna be a little brighter. Has a little more going on, and it's just because of the yeast. So very crushable beer, so be careful, but they're very enjoyable. I just really enjoy St. Arnold. They start like the brewery I went to, what was it, Southern Roots, and the Waco Ale Company. The water is filtered, it is taken care of before it even comes in contact with the beer, before it even starts making the wort. It's already put at a level where they want it, and then they start creating the beer. So that's one thing that each brewery should have, is a certain quality of water that is just their staple for everything. So thank you for that. Hopefully it was a little something to help teach you, and then you can learn. It might be that the yeasts are what you don't like, not even the beer, just the way the yeast produce things is why you don't like the beer. It's not always just, oh, the flavor, where did the flavor come from? And it's probably the yeast sometimes. So some people don't like Pilsner. I don't like Pilsner, but it's still lager yeast, and I just don't like it, but I like lagers. So there's something weird about it, and I will figure it out. Other than that, thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a good day.